They say every town has a story. Tombstone has a legend.
Who is he?
That's Wyatt Earp. Made a name for himself as a peace officer.
I heard of you.
I'm retired.
You must be Doc Holliday. You retired too?
Not me. I'm in my prime.
You tell him I'm coming! And hell's coming with me!
Justice is coming to Tombstone.
A-V-N.
It's Headphones Neil!
What's up, guys? Headphones Neil here, back with my next film review, and in this case it's going to be the 1993 film Tombstone. So on my watching of the documentary on Val Kilmer, if you listen to that episode, but if not, it made me want to rewatch Tombstone just to see how it holds up. I generally remember the film, and I do remember enjoying it, but then I didn't remember if I had seen the whole thing. I know I had seen bits and pieces, not necessarily in order, so I figured I would give it a rewatch. It's currently streaming, at least as of this recording, on Amazon Prime, along with Val, the documentary on Val Kilmer. So in watching the film, it still holds up as a good film. It has a runtime of about 2 hours and 10 minutes, maybe about 5 minutes if you don't count the credits. And they fill the movie with so much content and progression that you don't really feel any slowdown or slowness or anything that at least I would typically associate with a Western film. So for me, Westerns have generally been, at least the old school ones, have generally been slow, generally excruciatingly slowly paced, whereas this, it was one thing after another, and the progression was seamless from one thing to another. So in watching it, the 2 hours went by really quickly, and they did have a good progression. So you see Wyatt and his brothers wanting to settle down in Tombstone with their families, getting drawn back into the police officer life, ultimately becoming marshals, having to take out the Clanton gang, and also taking out the cowboys, and all of the ups and downs of their life, and settling down in Tombstone, and ultimately enforcing the law to make society a better place to live for everybody. So in general, the acting was good for everybody, and it does have a lot of people you know of. So you have Kurt Russell playing Wyatt Earp, Val Kilmer playing Doc Holliday, Sam Elliott as Vigil Earp, Bill Paxton, Powers Booth, Michael Biehn, Charlton Heston. So a lot of big names in the film. So when you're watching it, you would think that the movie is overpowered with all these big names, but they're all evenly balanced, and they all play their roles so well that it generally works as being a good film, and the overall product works out really, really well. So if I was to recommend the film, I would say definitely watch it if you're a fan of any of the actors, if you like Westerns, if you're a fan of Val Kilmer or Kurt Russell. I couldn't really place any of the actresses. I wanted to say that maybe Wyatt Earp's original wife looked kind of familiar. I think Paula Malcolmson, and then maybe the actress lady who was going around performing with the actor guy who the cowboy said looked really pretty. So a couple of they look kind of familiar, but like I said, I couldn't really place any of them to say that yes, I know her, or no, I do, or anything like that. So aside from that, I would give the movie a grade of about an A-, just because in general, like I said, it flows very well. There's very little slowness in the movie. You would think that there would be a lot of low or quiet movements or panning shots, but they actually limit the panning shots to make them meaningful. So when they do have a pan over shot, it lasts a few seconds, and then someone comes over the horizon and it gets paid off with what that shot was for. and so on and so forth. So it's not like you are stuck on a long shot with a lot of music, and even when you do have music, you do have that action to go with it, and as the action pans down, the music fades out and goes down along with it. So one of those things that I think helps keep the flow and pacing of the film go very smoothly. So that's really all I have to say about it. I mean, watching the film with a keener eye on Val Kilmer's character, I did particularly enjoy his performance in the film. It was one of the things that stood out when I watched it, when I did watch it originally, whether it was on TV or I'm not sure where else. I know I wouldn't have seen it in the theater. Around 93, I don't think I was really big into Westerns, so I wouldn't have seen it then with friends or anything like that. So watching it on TV, and at least the bits I did I know that his character was something that was good. So seeing it now in its full, the proper format and the way it should have been watched, I want to say it was very well done. I honestly didn't remember the revelation at the end where Wyatt was supposed to go for the shootout against Ringo, and Doc Holliday shows up. So that was good. I didn't remember the scene at the end with Wyatt and Doc Holliday when Doc Holliday is in the hospital and they play that last round of cards and all of that. So I want to say I probably saw up until the Ringo part, maybe even just the part where Wyatt and his brothers have all become marshals or something like that, and maybe that's where I stopped. And maybe they cut off the movie for runtime or something like that. But having seen the movie in its entirety, it's a good and complete movie as far as Wyatt coming into town to settle down, and then the film closing with him wanting to be a free spirit and leaving with the actress lady. So that's all there is for this particular review. So like I said, if I was to grade the film about an A-, there's nothing that, maybe even an A, I mean, there's nothing that I can say negative about the film. It does have good rewatchability, so once every couple of years or something like that. The actors are good, the portrayals aren't overshadowed or any more or less than anyone else. The only thing that kept popping in my mind was when we have the main bad guy of the Cowboys on screen, he kept reminding me of Mad Dog Tannen from Back to the Future 3, but Tombstone is a much more serious version of what we see in Back to the Future, so there's no comparison really between the two, but I just got that silly image stuck in my mind. But all the acting was good, the sets were good, the music wasn't overpowering to the point where you got annoying, like it didn't linger overarchingly to the point where you said, okay, enough is enough. Same thing, like I said, with the panorama shots and all of that. So in general, I give it a positive recommendation, definitely worth a watch, and still a film that holds up and is a good case of a Western that is done well and worth watching. So that's all there is for this particular review. So if you have any comments, feedback, recommendations, whether you liked or disliked this film, you can find me on Twitter at PatelN01. You can visit the website at headphonesneil.reviews for past episodes, subscription links, supporting the show, and all of that good stuff. As far as the next review, it is going to be the review as far as the meetup later this week. So last few spots still available, but look out for that review along with the season 1 finale or season 1 review for Star Wars: The Bad Batch. So they are going to be separate reviews, 2 separate reviews, but both of those I anticipate to have released this weekend. So look out for that. And if you're not a follower on the YouTube channel, then be sure to keep your eyes peeled for some special content coming this weekend as well. And that's at youtube.com/PatelN01. But thanks for tuning into this particular episode, and until next time.